Welcome to the world of portable gold plating. My name is Terry Darger, and I'm the manufacturer of your portable gold plating system. The purpose of this video is to give you the information you need to set up and use your portable gold plating system.
Before we begin the tour of your gold plating system, we need to cover the very important aspect of safety. While the system is simple to operate, it does use solutions that are intended to be used by trained personnel. Technician safety should always be the most important consideration. Supplied with the system is a set of material safety data sheets. Each solution used has its own MSDS. These sheets provide information on the safe use and handling of the solutions. It is very important that anyone using this gold plating system understand the information contained in the MSDS provided. Never store or transfer to an unmarked container. Use only containers that have the proper warnings and labels. Personal safety protection items are required for the safe use of your gold plating system.
Removing all the chrome from a chrome-plated item is essential to producing a good job. Sometimes the chrome stripping process will cause a steam that will irritate the throat and lungs if inhaled directly. Since the plating process usually takes place at eye level and the steam rises, the steam is not a problem. If you are working where the ventilation does not adequately remove the stripping vapors, you must take measures to ensure that you don't inhale the steam. A respirator is available from your distributor that will provide the necessary protection.
Your machine provides internal short circuit protection. However, you must make sure that you use a grounded extension cord and plug it in solidly. A 16-gauge cord is adequate for cords up to 50 feet in length. For cords over 50 feet, you should go to a 12-gauge cord. Always make sure your cord is in good condition and that the grounding prong is not damaged or removed. The outlet you plug into must be grounded and in good condition.
If you ever experience any unusual electrical problems, such as one or both indicator lights failing to glow when the switch is on, or any unusual meter activity, immediately unplug the power source and report the condition to your distributor or the manufacturer.
Finally, be sure and wash your hands with soap and water after using the containers or solutions.
The portable gold plating process does generate hazardous waste that must be collected and disposed of properly. This is generally a simple procedure that includes the following steps. The first step is to register with the state and federal EPA. Included with your system is a sample form for the state of Utah. It may vary some from state to state. However, the hazardous material numbers will be the same. Since you will produce under 220 pounds in a month, you can register as a small generator, which exempts you from federal reporting. The state will then register you with the regional office of the federal EPA. The second step is to locate a hazardous waste disposal company. Your local EPA office is a good source of information on the various hazardous waste disposal services. There are also licensed companies in the phone book. The hazardous waste disposal company will want to sample your wastewater and then will be able to provide you with information on the cost of disposal and the procedures as they relate to you. The cost should be between $10 and $15 per gallon. You should produce about 1 gallon for every $1,000 of billing you do at wholesale.
An essential feature of your gold plating system is the ability to capture the waste rinse water. The drain apron ensures the rinse water will drain into the drain pan. Closing the drain plugs before transport will ensure that the solution doesn't spill.
Two main components of the system are the wheeled chassis and the power source. A key feature of your system is that the power source can be installed or removed from the chassis in seconds. When the power source is not in the chassis, it is best to store the retaining pin in its hole with the keeper in place.
The supply tray will carry all the items you normally need for your work. Don't let it become cluttered with trash. We've found it's best to carry some small plastic garbage bags for your used paper towels. Having your supplies in your supply tray within easy reach is the key to working efficiently. The main component of your gold plating system is the power source. What you see before you is the result of a tedious period of evolution. Every change, every feature has been well thought out with the objective of making the system more simple and efficient to use, which means you will make more money with your time investment. There are 4 basic functions you will be performing with your system.
A quick tour of the front panel will help you become familiar with the various ports, controls, and meters. The output ports are arranged in the same order as the solution beakers. Facing the machine, working from left to right, they are left-handed user's common port, chrome stripper wand port, nickel activator wand port, gold plating wand port, nickel plate wand port, right-handed user's common port.
The meter on the left is the nickel activator and nickel plate voltage meter. This meter will deflect during activation and nickel plating if the surface is conductive. When the power switch is turned on, the 2 LEDs will light up, showing that all internal systems are operating correctly. The idle voltage of the nickel activator meter should be around 12 volts. You may notice that the LED indicator will continue to glow after the switch is turned off. This condition is normal. The gold voltage is a very important setting and will be discussed in detail later. The range of the voltage for the gold wand output port is from 0 to 11.5 volts, but for now we'll set it at 5 volts.
The power source housing is a special grade of stainless steel that has been finished with a heavy epoxy coating to ensure against corrosion. When you receive your machine, the application wands are already attached as shown here. The application bits, or anodes as they are sometimes called, are made of a special corrosion-resistant grade of stainless steel. The special machine handle will ensure a tight fit on the bit. Simply slide the bit into the handle until it fills tight. After working with many types of sleeve material, we have settled on the current configuration shown here. The woolly sleeves are for chrome stripping, nickel activation, and nickel plate, while the tube sleeve is for the gold anode. Slip the anode into the sleeves and secure the woolly sleeves with an elastic band, as shown here. When done, simply hang the application wand on the hanger with the bit in the beaker. Don't set up the nickel wand until it is needed. The extra application wand should be kept in the supply caddy.
Since the next step in setting up your machine involves the handling of chemicals, it's important to put on your gloves and your safety glasses. The first thing we'll do is pour the chrome stripper into the chrome stripper beaker. I generally pour in about 1 inch. That way you'll have enough solution in the beaker to keep your wand nice and wet, but it won't be so much that you're going to be dripping all over when you pull the wand out. The same goes with the nickel activator. I try to pour in about 1 inch. Now when I'm pouring the gold solution out, because the gold solution is very expensive, I usually pour in about 1/2 inch. That way I can reach down into the gold solution with my gold sleeve and get just what I need. When I take the lids off these solution beakers, I'll always store the lids in the caddy in the back. That way, when I'm through with the job, I can simply drop the bit into the beaker, replace the lid, and move on to my next job. When you set up your machine for the first time, or when you're changing your sleeves and putting on new sleeves, make sure that you let them soak in the solution that they're going to be used for at least 30 minutes to ensure conductivity. Now that we've got your machine set up and ready to go, there are literally thousands of things that we could do with it. What we're going to do is go to a car dealership and show you how to do the emblems on a car. With the techniques that you'll learn in doing all of the emblems on a car, you'll be able to do any work that you're likely to come upon.
Ordering supplies is easiest with our fax order form. After completing the form, simply fax it in, and we will fax you a confirmation of shipment with shipping cost included. Your order will be filled promptly and shipped using the method you indicate. Because they are hazardous materials, shipping the solutions requires special packaging. There is an additional packaging charge.
Hi, my name is Julie Drakus. I'm a professional plater. Here we are at one of the dealerships that I've established a service with. I call on this dealership once a week to see if they have any cars they would like me to put a gold package on. I also carry around a pager. I offer the dealership a 4-hour guarantee. If they have a car that they would like done, I can be here within 4 hours to do the plating. The car that I'm going to be doing is a Honda Accord, 1994. It has 3 emblems on it. These 2 emblems right here, this back emblem, and an emblem on the front. I'm also going to be doing the antenna bezel and the 2 keyholes, which are optional, and I do those only if the dealership specifies. When you have one emblem above another, it is a good idea to do the top emblem first to save yourself some time with the wiping and cleaning up afterward. The first step is that you want to put your drain pan right under the work that you're going to be doing. And you always want to make sure to take out your drain plugs so that the chemicals will go down into the pan.
Make sure the surface you're taping to is clean. That will help the adhesive on your tape last longer. You should only use the type of tape that is supplied with the system. Using a regular electrical tape can leave adhesive on the finish that would have to be removed with alcohol. Don't forget to put on your gloves and safety glasses. Make sure that you scoot your machine up tight against the drain pan. That way any drips that might fall off your wand will fall onto the drain pan and not onto the floor. Make sure you place the clip on the emblem where it will make good electrical contact. Avoid using the face of the emblem as a contact point, since the clip could scratch the surface of the emblem. Hold the wand with the sleeve lower than the handle. That way the solutions will tend to stay in the working area. Stripping the chrome actually dissolves the chrome into the stripper solution. The dissolved chrome will make the stripper yellow. If the stripping process is going well, there will be some bubbling activity at the contact point between the sleeve and the emblem. If there is no activity at the sleeve, then the emblem may be clear coated, and you should check for continuity. The most common mistake inexperienced platers will make is not to remove all the chrome. The chrome and nickel underneath are quite similar in appearance. However, the nickel does have a different tint. That is easy to recognize with a little experience. Move over the emblem in a logical pattern, paying special attention to areas that are difficult to get into. The stripper solution is designed to remove only the chrome and not the nickel, so you can't damage the emblem by stripping too much. If you have any question about getting all the chrome off, then you should go over that part again. Once you are sure that all the chrome is gone, rinse the emblem with a spray bottle in short, close, powerful bursts. Try to rinse all the stripper solution. so that you won't contaminate the activator solution. You may as well rinse the clip at the same time to help avoid generating unnecessary rinse waste. When you're picking up the different wands, make sure you avoid dripping the solutions into the other beakers. Each of the solutions will contaminate any of the other if mixed. Activating is a much quicker process than stripping. Just make sure that you cover everywhere at least once. I just do the whole thing twice, quickly. Rinsing all the activator off the work is very important. The activator and gold solutions are incompatible, so it is important that they aren't mixed at all. When you pick up the gold wand, you should avoid having too much solution on the sleeve. Remember, the gold solution is very expensive, so you don't want to waste it. After making sure that the clip is making good contact, begin on the low part of the emblem, working up, and then progress from one side to the other. Don't use any pressure. The purpose of the sleeve is just to carry the puddle of solution. Move in small concentric circles, giving the gold ions a chance to migrate to the surface and attach. Cover the entire emblem with a very light coat before the activated nickel has a chance to dry. The activated nickel is very reactive and will oxidize quickly if it is allowed to dry. Oxidized nickel won't provide the best surface for gold, so it is important that you cover the activated nickel as quickly as possible. We'll go over doing large pieces a little later, but for now, just remember not to activate any more nickel than you can cover with the first coat of gold before the surface dries. Tests have shown that every pass will apply 5 to 7 microinches, or millionths of an inch. You should be applying 25 to 30 microinches of gold to give the proper thickness. Once you have finished the piece, you should rinse and inspect. Look carefully in the areas that you may have missed, around the perimeter and in all the corners. With a little practice, you'll be able to instantly spot any potential trouble spots. If you see an area that appears to be thin, you can just go back over it. When you have finished the emblem, scoot your machine back away from the drain tray and carefully pull the apron tape off. Watch the last little bit. When it breaks loose, it can cause the plastic below to flip excess drain water onto you or into your solutions. Fold the apron into the drain pan and move it down to the next spot. Be careful about sliding the drain pan. When it gets full, you could puncture the bottom on a sharp rock. It's best to drain it into the 5-gallon head pack before it gets too full. When you finish the spot, you should always wipe the emblem and the area down with a dry towel. Remember, what you are selling is beauty, and when you leave your work, it should be clean and beautiful. One of the items that you'll probably be called on to plate a lot is stainless steel. The keyholes around on a car, the window trim, and a lot of the headlight trim on cars is commonly stainless steel, just as this spoon is. And I'm going to demonstrate how to do stainless steel on this spoon. Now, typically, sometimes you can't tell the difference between stainless steel and chrome just by looking at it. And so what we do in this system is we'll treat them the same. I've got my grounding clip attached to the grounding tray, so this will be a good time to show you how the grounding tray is utilized. You'll notice that all the time I'm working, I'm keeping some portion of my work on the grounding tray. The first step, just as if it were chrome, is going to be to use the chrome stripper solution. Now you'll notice the action going on down in the spoon with the stripper. However, there is no yellow fluid being generated as there was when we were stripping the chrome on the emblems at the Honda dealership. When doing stainless steel, the chrome stripping step actually becomes an electro-cleaning process. It removes any oxidation, any dirt, or oils or greases that might impair the bond of the gold to the metal. After stripping, we'll rinse the piece And then just as if we were doing a chrome item, we'll go on to the nickel activating. Now the activating process when we're doing stainless steel is pretty important because stainless steel is chemically an inactive metal. That's why it's stainless. And so I pay careful attention to it. I make sure that I cover each part of the piece at least once. Now after activating, it isn't necessary to rinse before we use our nickel strike. The nickel strike solution and the activator are compatible. Now what we commonly call the nickel plate is really a nickel strike solution, and it won't change the appearance. You won't be able to see it going on. What it does is provides a much better base for the gold to adhere to when we go to the gold plating. It also can affect the luster and the shininess of the piece. And so if you're doing the keyhole on a car, or maybe the car's a year or two old, then it would be very important to make sure that you use plenty of nickel strike solution. That could make the gold appear shiny and give it a better luster. Now if you're doing an item like surgical stainless steel, those stainless steels typically will have a very high nickel content, and the nickel strike step isn't necessary. But even then, it would never hurt. And so if you have any question about it, until you have some experience under your belt and you know what looks good and what doesn't, I would recommend that you do it. After applying the nickel strike solution, we'll rinse it off just to get rid of the excess solution. And then we'll hit it again quickly with the activator. Just to make sure that that new nickel that we've applied is active. Again, I'm just making sure that I hit each part of the spoon at least once. Now that we've activated, it's important that we do rinse thoroughly, because remember that the gold solution and the activator are incompatible. And if you leave activator on there, it can affect the finish of the gold. It can leave little dull patches on there that you can take out, but you have to do it with a polishing compound, and it's just better off not to have them to begin with. Now we're ready to go to our gold plating step, and it's important to, again, check your voltage and make sure that your voltage is correct. I'm putting my voltage at 5 volts. That's where I usually keep it for most items. What I'm going to do, as if I were doing a large piece that was chrome, is I'm going to go over the whole piece lightly. To give the spoon a thin layer of gold. Let's see. To seal off the activated nickel so that it can't develop a layer of oxidation. Then after, I'll go through and give the spoon a nice heavy layer of gold. I'm going to increase my voltage up on this item up to about 6 volts. See if we can't get the gold to go on a little faster. Generally, when you're doing a bigger piece, you can get away with a little bit more voltage. Just you need to be careful on the edges. If you have too high of a voltage and you get on an edge, then you'll have the burning. You'll burn the gold. It means a kind of a darkening of the gold. And if you happen to do that, that's not a big concern. It's something that can be cleaned off easily with baking powder. With a baking powder solution, baking powder and water. Now, if I were going to be doing this spoon for my use, it's going to be subject to dishwashers and it's going to be handled a lot. And so I'm going to make sure that it has a nice heavy layer of gold on there so that it'll give years of durable service. You'll notice that the end of the tip is losing its color. That's because the gold in the solution is purple, just like the nickel in solution is green and the chrome in solution is yellow. That's why it forms the yellow fluid. When we take the gold out of the solution and apply it to the piece we're working on, then the color goes out of the end of the wand. That's why it's important to hold the wand like you would hold a pencil. Then you can roll it around in your fingers. Okay, now that we've got a thin layer of gold on this spoon, we're going to go back and fill it in. When we go back and fill it in, it's important that you work over the spoon in small concentric circles, progressing along the spoon in a fairly logical pattern so that you'll be able to keep track of how many times you've gone over a given area. Now, before I finish this spoon for good, I will have plated all of it 4 or 5 times. Make sure that you pay attention to the sides and the edges, but if you don't hold in one spot on the edges, or you can burn the gold, particularly if you're running at a little bit high voltage. Right now I'm at about 6 volts. It's important to keep the wand moving. Now, before I called that good, I'd spend a little bit more time on it, but we're going to go ahead and rinse it off and take a look at it now and see how we did. Looks like I did a nice job on it. Before I called it good, I would go over it probably 2 more times over the whole thing. Doing this spoon would probably use $2 or maybe $3 worth of gold solution, particularly if you were careful about keeping the solution light on your wand. One of the most exciting things that you can do with your portable gold plating system is what we call selective plating. What that means is you can apply some type of a mask to the surface that you're going to be working on that will prevent the gold plating from taking place in certain areas. Now, to demonstrate one of the types of this process, I've taken this quarter and I've masked off with fingernail polish everywhere that I don't want the gold to be applied. Now, this is a liquid mask used for selective plating. What I'm going to do now is I've got this quarter on my grounding tray again. There's no chrome on the quarter to be removed, so I'll go directly to the activation step. We'll just simply activate the whole thing. The mask will protect the area that we don't want the activator to touch. And then rinse. Check my gold voltage again. I'm going to be working at 5 volts. And then I'm going to apply the gold to the quarter in small concentric circles. Now, obviously, this liquid mask could be used on any kind of an item. It could be used where you're going to be chrome stripping too. It's just a matter of applying the mask where you don't want the gold to adhere. And then after we rinse again, and then I'm going to put a quarter up here where I've actually removed the liquid mask, and in this case I used acetone, which is a good solvent for fingernail polish. Okay, now another type of mask that we commonly use, and this is one that's used a lot in the automotive industry if you're going to do one part of an emblem, or maybe you just want to do one part of a grill, and that's the tape mask. You'll want to make sure that you use the tape that is provided with your system so that when you remove the tape you don't leave adhesive. Now right now I'm going to be doing this chrome-plated solid brass switch plate, and I'm going to just gold plate this corner of it here, and so I've made a mask in this area that'll give me a nice sharp line. Now since this switch plate is chrome, I'll need to remove it. And again, you'll notice the yellow fluid that is being provided as I strip it off. Right now I'm going to take the opportunity to show you the difference and see if we can see the line between the chrome and the underlying nickel. I don't know if that shows up or not. But the nickel has a much more stark or a shinier appearance to it. Let's see. What we'll do is we'll go ahead and remove the chrome from the rest of the item. You can see that the chrome comes off very easily. One thing to remember when you're working on different types of chrome-plated items is that the thickness of the chrome can vary a great deal. The chrome on an automobile emblem is typically very thin, where the chrome on something like a bathroom fixture or even this light switch is a little more thick. It's just very important, again, as we said before, that you make sure, absolutely sure, that you get all of the chrome off. That'll save you having to go through the problem of dealing with chrome that's left on when you try to plate over it. Again, we activate the underlying nickel. Just hit it briefly, make sure I touch all of it at least once. And again, we need to rinse the activator very thoroughly. Check my gold voltage. I'm again at 5 volts. And then, like I did with the silverware, I'm going to go over and make sure that I cover all of the area that I've got activated with a thin layer of gold. Now, if you're doing a very large piece, you'll want to make sure that you don't activate any larger area than you can cover with a layer of gold before it dries out. Because once it's dried out, then the activated nickel can oxidize, and that could diminish the bond. Again, you can see when the gold has gone out of the solution, the color goes out of the end of the tip. So it's important to always remember, hold your tip like a pencil, roll it, and use different parts of the tip. Work in small concentric circles and progress over the piece in a logical manner so that you can keep track of how much gold you've applied in each area, since you won't be able to tell by looking at it. Now with this switch plate, if I were doing this switch plate for a home, I would probably put a little more gold on it than I would if it were the emblem of a car. I want to make sure that I've applied enough gold that it can stand up to years of people rubbing their hand up and down it, turning the light switch on and off, and cleaning. When I've finished applying the gold, we'll rinse. And you can see that we have a nice layer of 24 karat gold underneath. Now it's just simply a matter of removing the mask. And you can see that we have a nice sharp line between the area that was gold plated and the area that was left chrome. There are a lot of novel ideas in using these techniques for thousands of applications. I found they're very handy in working on cars. And finally, I'd like to cover a couple of the most common problems that are made with people using their portable gold plating system. Probably the most common problem I have to deal with is people trying to plate with the gold before they've removed all of the chrome. Always remember that you cannot overstrip. You cannot damage the underlying layer of nickel. So if there's any question about you having all of the chrome off, then strip it again. Another real common problem that people run upon is misidentification of the metals that they're working on. And what they'll do is someone will come up with a belt buckle or a piece of jewelry or a watch or some item where you cannot readily identify the metal, and they'll begin immediately working in an area that is very conspicuous and out in the open. Whenever you have a metal or a surface that you're going to try plating and you don't know for sure what it is or how the gold is going to react to it, it's a good idea to try it in a little spot in an obscure, out-of-the-way place. Always go through the steps of stripping, activating, and gold plating. Sometimes if you're working with metals like silver or brass, the stripping process can cause a very quick, deep black or dark brown color. Don't be alarmed by this. The activator will remove it just as quickly as the stripper brought it on. However, when you do the rest of the piece, you'll want to avoid using the stripper. Just go directly to the activation step. I hope that I've given you the information that you need to set up your machine and begin making money with your portable gold plating system. You're always going to have things come up that you don't understand or you don't know. And that's why with your system was included our 800 technical support line. Following this program, you'll be given that 800 number. You can call at any time. Usually it'll be either I or one of my technicians that will be answering the line, and we'll be able to help you through a problem. So remember, you're always going to have a friend on the other end of that line.